PE teacher named Mr. Murphy when I was in 8th grade, and he would always make us run to the Civic Center and around it. I couldn't stand it, so I would always cut through the park and jog home because I lived so close to the school. I remember when he started catching me, he told me, "Cody, why did you leave my class in front of everybody?" All I could think was, well, he doesn't even know my name. Of course, when the PE teacher or the substitute teacher calls you by the wrong name, you don't really correct them. You just move on. Chances are high that the relationship ends right there. Them calling you the wrong name doesn't really impact your life beyond that moment. You're not losing sleep because the guy at the coffee shop didn't add an H to Sarah on your coffee label, or the substitute teacher couldn't figure out how to actually pronounce Aaron. But if your best friend, your coach, or your small group leader got your name wrong, if they misspelled or mispronounced or even forgot your name, well, that hurts. Why? Because they're supposed to be the people who really know you, the game changers, important relationships in your life. That's who they're supposed to be. They're the people who you listen to, who you lean on and turn to when you're in need. They're the people you want to know your name, because with them, it's personal. The reality is, we all want somebody to know our name. We all want to feel like someone knows us in a real way. It makes us feel important. It helps us feel seen. When somebody really knows our name, it's a sign that they know us, and that feels personal. So many of us spend a lot of time looking for friendship like that. We want a BFF, someone who knows everything about us. The kind of friendship where someone understands us without a word. We want someone who cares about us, values us, and stays close to us. We want a friend who knows our name because they know us in a real and personal way. But the reality is, you already have that. You already have a person in your life who knows you and loves you that way. And that person is Jesus. Now let me stop here and acknowledge what you might be thinking. Oh, of course, you're talking about Jesus. We're at church. You have to say that. And yes, I get why you would think that. But I'm not just saying it because we're at church. I'm saying this because it's true. Jesus knows each and every single one of us by name. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. He sees you. He wants to know you in a real personal way. Now, I get that this is hard for a lot of us to believe. And honestly, I understand why. Because to so many of us, Jesus doesn't seem all that personal. Maybe you feel like he's too big to notice you. If he's big enough to create the entire universe, then how could he possibly know us personally? We're not nearly that important, right? You may even be wondering why you'd want to be known by him personally. To you, he's just someone who judges your every move or makes you follow a bunch of rules. You might think he doesn't care about you. He just cares about your behavior. And knowing you personally is about so much more than just knowing what you did right or wrong. Or maybe you feel if he knew the real you, he wouldn't want to be close to you. The things you've done, the mistakes you've made, the thoughts you think, those things you don't want anyone to know about you personally. No matter what you think or feel about him, the reality is that Jesus does know your name. And it's not in some way that means you're on his list or that he's got an eye on you. It's in a way that lets you know that to him, you matter. He knows your name because to him, it's personal. To show you what I mean, we're gonna take a look at an encounter Jesus had while he was on earth with a guy named Zacchaeus. It's found in the book of Luke, which was written by one of Jesus's closest followers. Now let me set the scene for you. Jesus was coming into town of Jericho with a crowd all around him. By this time in his ministry, he had become pretty well known. People had seen Jesus do miracles, heal the sick, teach amazing things, and even saw him raise a man from the dead. So basically, Jesus was a pretty big deal. And as Jesus was passing through this crowd, someone caught his eye. Someone caused him to stop. This is where we meet Zacchaeus. He had a little bit of a different reputation than Jesus. Take a look. Tax collectors in this time were viewed as being the worst. No one really liked them at all. They cheated people out of money, and because of that, people saw them as outsiders or traitors. All that had to say about Zacchaeus wasn't super popular. On that day, Zacchaeus wanted to see Jesus. So as a shorter guy, he had to climb a tree just to get a glimpse. And up in that tree, Zacchaeus got a lot more than he probably expected. Think about this. Out of this huge crowd of people, Jesus stopped and called out to just one guy, Zacchaeus. Jesus called his name. How startling it must have been for Zacchaeus that Jesus not only knew his name, but that he said his name out loud. Jesus called him in front of everyone. Remember, Zacchaeus was not a popular guy in this crowd, and he knew it. He probably knew that Jesus knew it too. So to have Jesus not just notice him, but notice him by name, that was a big deal. And that made it personal. In that one moment, Jesus communicated that what he saw in Zacchaeus was different than what the rest of the world thought or saw in him. He communicated to Zacchaeus that he had value. Zacchaeus was seen, known, and valuable to Jesus, no matter what anyone else thought of him, no matter what he even thought about himself. And that's what's cool. This is how Jesus sees us. He's not only knowing us by name, he uses it out loud. He's inviting you into a life with him. And when we accept that invitation, our relationship with him becomes real. It becomes personal. Personal began for Zacchaeus when Jesus knew his name, and the same is true for you. It's personal because Jesus knows your name. So what does this mean for you? How does this change the way you see yourself or Jesus or even other people? For some of you, it might begin with taking a step forward to knowing more about Jesus. Zacchaeus climbed a tree to get a glimpse of him. That was his first step towards a personal experience with Jesus. So maybe you need to climb a tree and take a step for yourself. No, not actually climb a tree. I mean, just take a step to get to know more about Jesus in a real personal way. Ask questions about Jesus or talk to your small group leader about some of the things that might be holding you back. You can even look up the story of Zacchaeus yourself to get started. Whatever it is, take a step to help you know the one who knows your name. Others of you know Jesus in a personal way. You've stepped into a relationship with him, and you know the value of being close and personal. God knows your name. Because what Jesus did for you, you can do the same for others. You see, Jesus didn't just invite us into a relationship with him, he invites us to know the names of others alongside him. Check out the command he gives us as his followers. In this passage, Jesus told us first to love him, second to love others, to make it personal to people in our lives. We can do this first by knowing their name. Just like someone knowing our name makes us feel seen and valued, when we know someone's name and use it to talk to them or about them, it gives them the same feeling. And remember, it's personal because Jesus knows your name. You know, the reason we talk about this stuff here is because we really believe it has the potential to change your life for the better. That personal relationship with Jesus, we want that for each and every one of you. And we also want the student ministry to be a place where you feel seen, known, and valued. A place where we know your name. A place where it feels personal. So as you head out today, I want you to remember that it's personal because Jesus knows your name. And then think about this question. How does it make me feel when someone knows my name?